Well, hey there, everyone. It's GG Sober Sun. It's a blustery December 29th today. This is the AA Thought for the Day. Participating in the privileges of the movement, I shall share in the responsibilities, taking upon myself to carry my fair share of the load. Not grudgingly, but joyfully. I am deeply grateful for the privileges I enjoy because of my membership in this great movement. They put an obligation upon me which I will not shirk. I will gladly carry my fair share of the burdens because of the joy of doing them. They will no longer be burdens, but opportunities. Will I accept every opportunity gladly? Yes, and I am grateful that they present it as opportunities, right? And what is it? How'd they put it? Taking upon myself to carry my fair share of the load, and deeply grateful for the privileges I enjoy because of my membership. And this sentence, they put an obligation upon me which I will not shirk. And I choose not to see it as an obligation. To me, that sentence seems like it stands out in contrast to the rest of the statement of the paragraph, right? That speaks of an obligation when in actuality I'm not indebted, right? That's an old it's sort of an archaic phrase in my vocabulary, because because of my hurt, because of the experience I've had in that brought me to AA, it gives me an opportunity to live a life beyond anything I could have ever imagined. It gives me an opportunity to see how my higher power is a redeemer of mistakes, a redeemer of all of the heartache, right? And out of that experience of redemption, it doesn't feel like an obligation at all. And like in the 10th step mini process in the big book, where it talks about we must continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, or fear when these crop up, right? I have an opportunity again to turn to my higher power rather than hold on to resentments or some form of obligation. It's so much better. Think of it this way. What makes you more excited about going to work? Knowing that you have all the money that you need, and that work is just an expression of your identity, right? If you're in the right job, of course. Or knowing that you have to go to work because you have a mortgage to pay, a car to pay, right? That's the natural. The supernatural is you have access to all the spiritual energy and resources that God has. The Bible talks about He owns 1,000 sheep on 1,000 hills, right? That's speaking their language, right? But you think about it, God controls all of the money. There is no power, there is no resources that he doesn't possess, right? And from that, all the energy, all the energy, and so knowing that because we are his children, we have access to all that, and we have inherited basically all of that. Outside of that, right, we're working from debt. And that's why I kind of, bristled a little bit at that notion that, we're indebted in whatsoever. We are invited into a realm of possibility, of connectedness, of fulfillment like we've never experienced. And it's all because we drank ourselves into a hopeless state of mind and body. But somehow God saw through that and created this wonderful fellowship and program of Alcoholics Anonymous. Meditation for the day. Work and prayer are the two forces that are gradually making a better world. We must work for the betterment of ourselves and other people. Faith without works is dead, but all work with people should be based on prayer. If we say a little prayer before we speak or try to help, it will make us more effective. Prayer is the force behind the work. Prayer is based on faith that God is working with us and through us. We can believe that nothing is impossible in human relationships if we depend on the help of God. And that reminds me again, let me see if the prayer is associated with that. Prayer for the day. I pray that my life may be balanced between prayer and work. I pray that I may not work without prayer or pray without work. And so prayer as a way of tapping into the divine source of all things reminds us that we are acting as his agents of his spirit flowing through us to other people so he can bless them, right? If I'm taking on board all of that myself, like just automatically assuming that anything and everything I do is good, if I'm working for him, right? That seems right in our human and finite minds, but really we have to be sold out, right? In God's hands is what it says in the Family Afterward on page 124. In God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have, right? Don't get it twisted. The prayer is that act of tapping into connecting with the divine source of all knowledge, all wisdom, all power, so that we can learn and know things about people without them having to explain it all, right? So in the mornings I say the 3rd step prayer and the 6th step and 7th step prayer, and I ask them to direct my thinking. But when I'm about to encounter people, and I have not perfected this, right? Just the other morning, I was praying about connection and really talking with God about this, and I walk out of my house and there's someone talking to one of my neighbors, so I just assume that they know each other, and then I say good morning, in a very connected way, considering I just walked out of prayer. And the woman who wasn't my neighbor broke off and came to me, sir, and immediately when she said sir, I felt disconnected from her and immediately felt defensive. And rather than be connected, I started feeling self-protect, right? Because I thought, she's homeless, or not too far from, or from that Section 8 housing across the way there. And, she gave me a story about, she didn't want to wake up her uncle, but he was going to give her some food. And could I help out with giving her some food? And I did ask her name, which is more connected than I have in the past, right? And, I did give her a couple of bucks kind of thing. And she asked for change. You don't have any change in your car? Kind of thing, But that's not my point. My point is that God gave me an opportunity immediately after I asked for an opportunity. And did I do it perfectly? No. Would I do it differently had it presented itself again? No. But the point is the connection to my higher power. If I get used to connecting in a breath and within the breath, that's another key, then I'm more likely to do his bidding. In God's hands, the dark past is the greatest possession you have. I do remember her name, and I have seen her since, but we didn't reconnect, right? So these are opportunities. Prayer is an opportunity to become God's agent and really live a fulfilled life. A fulfilled life and purposeful life. And all because I drank myself into a hopeless state of mind and body. Because I had a misdirected notion of who I am in God's eyes. So keep on keeping on, y'all. It's so much more than just not drinking. It's a connected, spirit-filled, purposeful identity in your higher power. So look up, aim up, rise up. Love y'all.